Hey, what's up, everybody? It's Dan Greer with Leading from the Middle of the Pack, and today we're going to be chatting all about like recharging your batteries and just getting going. So this will be a super quick podcast because I actually just got done recharging my batteries, and we're going to talk a little bit about like why it's so important. So, cue up theme song. We'll be right back in just a minute.
The big question is this: how are leaders like us, who aren't necessarily in a management position, who go out and get our hands dirty, who are ready to answer their calling from God to lead, who are driven to learn and grow, gain the trust and respect of those around us, to actually be heard while not coming across as an authoritative prick? These are the questions, and this is the podcast that will give you the answers. Hi, my name is Dan Greer, and welcome to Leading from the Middle of the Pack.
Awesome! So glad you guys are still here. So, I totally just got back from San Diego, which was absolutely awesome and phenomenal event to go to. Well, it wasn't an event. It was like a family vacation / recharge / work on business / leadership hackathon / like a whole bunch of stuff. So, that's how I recharge. I combine a whole bunch of crap into one thing and like recharge my batteries by doing a whole bunch of things. But it was so much fun. Like it was totally awesome to be able to get out there and do that. And like one of the things that I discovered whenever I was out there is like, I know this, but like, so as Jenna and I were walking on the beach, one of the conversations that came up in my mind was that, like, I have to do something like this every quarter in order to keep my business health revitalized. And it doesn't mean like I have to go someplace super fancy or have to do something crazy, but like I need to take like 3 or 4 days and recharge from all the chaos and like refocus, restructure on what we're doing. And so one of the things that like I got out of this entire trip was that like I went out there and I started working through this book called Traction. So like there's a book here. Hold on. Ooh, dude, it's right here. So I got this book recommended to me. It's called Traction. It's pretty awesome. It's absolutely awesome. I love it. And then while we were out there, I actually found the book, which is even cooler, for $1 at a used bookstore. Like you can't get better than that, right? Like how often are you going to find this crazy book, right, for $1 at a bookstore after I read it and I was like getting ready to buy it online? Anyways, I digress. My point is like I was working through and there's a part in there where it talks about like creating your vision and doing your vision statement and like figuring out what it is and then sharing that with the entire company. And so it's exactly what I did over this last week. Is every time we would sit down, every chance I would have in the mornings, in the evenings, in the middle of the day, when we were recharging, when the kids were regrouping, we were doing our things, when I wasn't busy doing something else, like I would sit down and I would do this and I would focus on it. And like we actually rewrote our entire core vision, which was crazy cool because, you know, like 5 years ago or a year ago, right, our mission was to take the complexity out of compliance. Like we had niched so far down into a DOT company that all we were doing was DOT. Well, then we built this amazing software called Docs that does it all for everybody. And so it's like, man, now that we have this crazy wicked tool, like that's its vision. Its vision is to take the complexity out of compliance. Eclipse DOT's vision is actually bigger. It's actually working with every trucking company, every company that runs trucks in their business, and it's to help them grow and scale their company effortlessly. So if you've just started and you're one guy and you want to scale to 100 guys, we can help you get there. If you're 10 guys, you want to scale to 20 guys. Or if you're not even thinking about people, you're thinking about revenue. Maybe you're at 500,000, you want to scale to 2.5 mil, or maybe you're at 8 million and you want to scale to 14 million. Or maybe you're at 50 million, you want to scale to 100 million. Like, we're going to give you the tools to do that. Like, that's what we do. That's just that definition of that vision right there in our niche of like who we serve. We're not after serving everybody. We don't want to go out and have every single entrepreneur in the world. We don't go out and have every single company in the world. Like, I'm not going to say that if like Tony Robbins calls me tomorrow and he's like, hey, Dan, I really need your help with this leadership stuff. I'm going to say, no, I'm going to be like, yeah, I'll be there tomorrow. Let me rearrange my schedule, right? Because he's somebody that I would love to like get to know better. But my point is like, as we go through all this, we know who our perfect customer is. It allows us to serve them more. And then I broadcasted this vision that we created out to the entire company. So everybody in my company now knows it. And I wrote this beautiful little email that goes with it, blah, blah, blah. And that way they all get to see my vision. But like, that's all part of what happens when you recharge. You're able to focus on the business instead of in the business. And sometimes when you're here every day grinding it out, because that's what we're doing. We're grinding, like we get our hands dirty as leaders, like we're like grinding our business out. Sometimes we forget about focusing on the business because we're focusing in the business. We're focusing on making it run and being the operator, right? Instead of being the visionary, which we all know that we have to have a visionary in every single business. If we don't have a visionary, we have nothing. Nothing, right? Like we have to have some kind of visionary. So, guys, you've got to recharge your batteries once in a while. You got to get out there. You got to get it done. And it's super important to do that. And my recommendation is to do it at least every quarter and a minimum once a year, right? Like minimum once a year. Recharge your batteries as the owner. And like, I have to say this. So like the other thing that came out of this is Jen and I were talking. We were walking down the beach. It was a different time. I like to walk down the beach. So is she, and it gives us some good quality time. I get to fill her tank. She gets to fill mine. We hold hands. I'm a physical touch guy. She's a quality time guy. So we're spending time without any kind of music or anything like that going on, and we're just listening to the ocean, listening to like what God created, right? And so hearing the waves lap in and hearing everything that's going on, we were walking on the beach, and I told her, I was like, I need to do this at least once a year for my entire leadership team when we grow this. We need to go someplace amazing where we get some good personal bonding time to fill their quality time tank. We need to be talking about business like 50 to 60% of the time. The other 50 to 60% of the time, the other 40 to 50% of the time, we need to be, doing other stuff that brings us closer together, right? So it can't just be like 100% business all the time we're there. Like we have to be doing a few other things. And I said, this is going to make a huge difference to keep us all on the same page. And it's going to like be the best investment in my company and our company ever because of what it is. And I sat there and I thought about that for a second after I said it. And I was like, you could have so much fun with this and you could go so many places. So like, there's a lot of things to think about with that, right? My question for you is, when's the last time you recharged your batteries? And I'm not talking like a family vacation where you left and you didn't do anything with business. That's not what I'm saying, because heaven knows we've all had those before, right? And I'm not talking about a family vacation where you're like, oh, we're going to go to Disneyland, Universal Studios, and SeaWorld, and we tried to cram 10 gallons worth of crap into a 1-gallon can. That's not going to work either, right? So what I want you to do is I want you to truly think about when's the last time you recharged your batteries for your business. And then I want you to figure out how you can recharge them on a weekly basis while you're at home so you don't have to go somewhere to recharge them. So like for me, I have scheduled now in my schedule, like every once a week for 2 hours a week, it's me time to work on the business, not in the business. Focus on where it's going, focus on the growth, focus on this, focus on that. And so that's part of it, guys. Like that's the big thing right there, is just all of that. So I'm going to pause this. I'll be right back. Well, so I had to pause for a second because I had to jump into a meeting, because that's like the way my day is going today. And that's the way it's going to be for like the rest of the time. So when you go and take your little bit of time to recoup, you got to remember, you got to jump right back into it, both feet in the fire. So I apologize for jumping away for a second, but I had to jump on this meeting. So my big thing here with what we were talking about is that it's super important for us to recharge our batteries, and then figuring out how to do it at home, and then figuring out how to do it without having to go somewhere to do it. Because if you train yourself, oh, I have to go to the beach to do this. Oh, I have to go to the mountains. Oh, I have to go to this. I have to go to there. I have to go here. Then all of a sudden you don't recharge on your own. And so it's super important to recharge on your own, because if you don't figure out how to like recharge on your own, you're going to get burnt. Like I'm sitting here right now and I'm super excited for everything that's going on. I'm stoked and everything's going so great. And it's just exciting to be here. But it's also like I'm sitting here looking at it and I'm like, there is so much going on right now. I'm so overwhelmed as to like what it is, but I'm also like, boom, knocking stuff out of the park. Like seriously, I swear, I feel like Babe Ruth, because they're like, oh, you got a problem? Right? And then it's like, oh, you got a problem? Oh, left-handed swing. I don't even know how you swing left-handed, but you know what I mean? Maybe that's right-handed. I don't know. But anyways, my point is like, it's like, you've got to figure out how to recharge at home. You've got to figure out something that keeps you going, something that gets you there, and something you get excited about. And so, and you also got to remember that like things change, because it's not always going to be the same. This is crazy. And anybody any of my teachers that you would have talked to in school, if they would hear this now, they'd be like, no, that is not Dan. That is not what he does to relax. But I love writing. Like, I wouldn't think that I would say this, but I love writing copy. Like whenever I get to sit down and write emails, like I stand up and I turn some music on and I can just like pound out emails for marketing. And I love writing devotionals like that. Just it centers me and brings me back to my faith and allows me to share it. And then I love reading the devotionals I write as well, because I send them out a couple weeks after I write them. I like to be ahead of the game. Blogs are the same thing. I love rereading the blogs that I write because it's like, oh man, these blogs are so awesome. There's so much good wisdom in here. And look at all these nuggets. And it's like, oh, this is so cool. So you got to find something that allows you to recharge your batteries in little stints. And maybe it's 5 minutes a day. Maybe it's 2 hours a week. But you've got to do it constantly to recharge. And it can't be sleep. And it has to be something like keeps your mind going. Sitting there and like watching TV, watching your favorite show, that's not going to recharge your batteries. That doesn't help you to like fix the problem. It doesn't help you to like change anything. What it does is like it allows you to do nothing. It doesn't allow your mind to regen. Reading a book regens, right? Like spending quality time with somebody regens. Cooking and listening to a book. Cleaning and listening to a book. Listening to podcasts, like whatever it is, right? Like maybe it's watching YouTube videos that help you learn something. That is how you recharge your batteries. And you got to get excited about it. Have you ever been to a conference? Like, okay, so I go to conferences like all the time because I love conferences, especially about business and other stuff. But have you ever been to a conference and like you leave that conference and you're on a super big high and you're like, oh, I'm ready to go. Let's go get this done. And like you're super excited about it. And then like 2 weeks later, it's all, and it just fizzles out. You got to figure out a way to keep your batteries recharged enough, to keep your mind recharged enough, keep you excited every day. So if it's like, if journaling is what gets you excited, then get up and journal every single morning. If recording a podcast or a vlog or whatever crap you call this thing, get you excited, then get up and do it every morning, right? Like, just like make it happen. Because here's the thing, is that if you can figure out how to recharge your batteries, if you can figure out how to get excited about something every single day, it's going to be like a gazillion times better for you in the long run and in the short run. Because guess what? Like you're now excited every single day. Every single day you're repepping your batteries. You're like, oh, zzz, zzz, zzz. You're just connecting the jumper cables for just a little bit to recharge. Oh, yeah. Oh, it feels so good. Oh, yeah. Right? Like that's what you're doing every time that you do that. And so if you can figure out how to do that on your own without going somewhere, it's huge. Right? But know that every once in a while, you got to take your car to the shop. You got to take your plane to the hangar. Like you got to go through a few things. You got to do an annual on it. You got to check it out. You got to make sure it's in good condition. And don't forget to do that too, because so many times we get so caught up in like hustling as leaders. We get so caught up in the hustle and in grinding it out that we forget that we can't just grind. We got to grind and rest and grind and recoup because like analogy after analogy after analogy. I know. But like, let's say that you're sitting in a grinding stone. Have you ever seen those big like grinding wheels, right? And they got the little foot pedal on them, and they're grinding an axe on them. What happens if you just grind that axe and you never quit? It gets hot. And as it gets hot, it's going to start taking off more and more and more and more and more of the blade. And if you never quit grinding it, then all of a sudden that axe is down to nothing but wood. Okay? So like, I just want to encourage you guys to know that it's okay to grind it out, number one, but to figure out little ways to take the axe off the grinding stone once in a while, right? Take it off and use it. If you're just sharpening it, it's never going to work. So you can't spend all your time sharpening and recharging your batteries. You got to get out there and take some action. You got to do it. But you also got to remember to sharpen it once in a while, because if you're sitting there hammering at trees, whack, 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 okay, and then and the tree never falls down, you never actually get the tree cut because you're chomping at it with a flat piece of metal, it's not going to cut, right? But if you go to the grindstone and you sharpen it every single day, oh man, an axe is going to be great all day long if you find a way to sharpen it. So that's what I want to do. I want to encourage you guys to do that. I want to encourage you to get out there, figure out a way to like recharge, figure out what you're going to do, whether it's a certain songs that you listen to, whether it's writing, whether it's recording a podcast, whether it's getting people excited, whether it's like whatever it is. Okay. I want you to think about it, number one. And number two, I want you to be like, yes, this is it. So guys, that's it. I'm so glad you're here. So stoked you're here. And dude, did I say you should check out .docs.com? Check out that. That's like wicked cool. I know there's some reflections in it from the light. I'm working on that. It's going to get better, I promise. But .docs, DOTDOCS.com is who's sponsoring this podcast today. Yep, created by Eclipse DOT, and it takes the complexity out of compliance. And so, like, one of the realizations that I had this week was that Eclipse DOT used to take the complexity out of compliance, but now our vision is much bigger and it's to help grow and scale companies. But DotDocs, the software behind me over here, it takes the complexity out of compliance, makes it simple. It actually brings joy to it, right? Like joy and compliance in the same sentence. I know, but check it out. Somebody left us a Google review with those exact words on it. I know, it's so sweet. Anyways, if you guys enjoyed this, like us, rate us, review us, subscribe, tell all your friends, share it. If you don't like us, what the heck are you doing still here, man? Why'd you waste all your time? What's your problem? Like, don't waste your time if you don't like this. Just like, go away. Don't worry about anything else. Just like, yeah, just don't worry about it. But if you did like it, leave us a review. Share it. Share it with the world, okay? Because we want to grow this podcast to like, crazy big. And we need your help doing that because I can't do it myself. It's way too much work and I don't have enough time. So, hope you guys had a great day. I'm so glad you joined us. We'll be chatting soon. Later. Peace out, bro.